What's good, YouTube? It's your boy Days back again with another video. So today we are going to do NCAA's college football stadiums part number 8. Okay, so we're going to react to these stadiums, see if they coaching worthy and stuff. Pretty much. Excuse me, y'all. But we're almost done, y'all. We are really almost done with this series. So in this video, we're going to be doing the Pac-12, the Mount Western, and the Sunbelt Conference. So yeah, so we're going to be doing those 3 conferences in this video. And you know how it is. So we're going to be grading by how many years we're going to coach there for that organization or for that program. So is it program worthy to be coaching there? So pretty much, please like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. And yeah, so now let's get into it. Pac-12, it is showtime. Let's see here. I think it's that one. Yeah. No. Pac-12, it's showtime. Let's get it.
Pac-12 is one of college football's biggest conferences, and it has some of the best stadiums in the country. A lot of them are quite unique as well. So here are the Pac-12 college football stadiums. Husky Stadium, home of the Washington Huskies, being located on...
Okay, Ray, will you coach here? I'm going to be honest with you. Yeah, I will coach here. Yeah, I will coach here and stuff. I always do probably 4 to 5 years here. Yeah. Shout out to Washington. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, I do 4 to 5 years here and stuff. The Washington Huskies, yep.
On the shore of Lake Washington and with a view of the distant mountains, including Mount Rainier, it's considered by many to be the most serene setting in college football. Well, perhaps serene isn't the right word, it having the record for being the loudest stadium in college football, so maybe picturesque is a better word. And having the open end of the stadium on the eastern side makes the most of the scenery. It also has the rare distinction of being a college football stadium that's bigger than an NFL stadium in the same city.
Yeah.
And just like Lumen Field, it has some sizable roof canopies. It's quite rare to see that in college football, but Seattle is known for its persistent rain. What a fantastic stadium to start off with. Stanford Stadium, home to Stanford Cardinal.
Ray, will you coach here? Stanford, it's probably like a 2 to 3 year school for me. 2 to 3 years. I'll coach here for 2 to 3 years.
Despite the fact that there's been a stadium on this site since the 1920s, the one that you see today was built in 2006. The predecessor was a completely different stadium, considerably larger and with a running track around the field. The current design is a simple yet elegant, symmetrical double-tiered structure. I love that it's surrounded by a jungle of trees, certainly better than concrete. And the icing on the cake is this thing that, combined with the palm trees, looks like an ancient Roman aqueduct in northern Africa. Even the video board is the exact same make and model that Julius Caesar had in his living room. You've got to love that attention to detail. Arizona Stadium, home of the Arizona Wildcats.
Right, will you coach here? Arizona? Home of the Wildcats. I'll give it a shot. I'll do at least 2 to 3 years here. Yeah, 2 to 3 years.
Compared to what we've seen so far, this one is a little more in line with a typical college football stadium. Like a lot of college stadiums, you can clearly see where each expansion has been made. The north end zone being the most recent by the looks of it. It looks pretty good, but it's actually quite unusual. It's not immediately apparent, but there's actually a small roof canopy that protects some spectators from the scorching sun of the Sonoran deserts. Deserts! I always do that. I do quite like how every side of the stadium is a little bit different. It's the complete opposite of the last one in that way. Now we leave that stadium in Tucson, Arizona for some California grass. The Rose Bowl to be specific.
Right, well, you coach UCLA at the Rose Bowl. Be honest with you, UCLA is like a one and done because this is a bowl stadium. You know what I'm saying? Like a bowl game series stadium. But UCLA, this is a one and done for me. I'm sorry. Sorry, LA.
Home of the UCLA Bruins. Very few stadiums in the world can boast a resume as impressive as the Rose Bowls. Among other things, it's hosted 5 Super Bowls and a World Cup final. Both are pretty much among the top echelon of sporting events. As the name suggests, the Rose Bowl is a bowl stadium and hosts the annual Rose Bowl, which was the first annual football game to be called a bowl. Its simple but elegant design is loosely based off the Yale Bowl. Well, at least it was. It used to have the same sunken design as the Yale Bowl, with the earth coming all the way up to the top of the seating bowl. But it's clearly quite different these days. I should also mention the rather picturesque view. Marvelous. Rice-Eccles Stadium, home of the Utah Utes.
Right, well, you coach Utah. Utah, I will probably do 1 to 2 years here in Utah. Yeah, 1 to 2 years.
There's a bit of an interesting story with this one. Although it was originally built in the 1920s, the stadium was completely renovated, rebuilt really, in the late 90s to host the 2002 Winter Olympics, opening and closing ceremonies of all things. The Olympic cauldron still remains. Much like the last one, the view is quite enviable. It's become a bit of a saying on this channel now, but every stadium has good view of the mountains. Other than that, the stadium is fairly standard, but I should mention that the south end zone was just recently expanded, and it looks something like this. They actually had to remove the Olympic cauldron, then bring it back. Autzen Stadium, home of the Oregon Ducks.
Right, well, you coach here. Oregon, home of Nike. Yeah, I'll coach here. I'll do 3 years in Oregon. I mean, the stadium don't look all right to me. It's like a half done of the Liberty Bowl, but you know, it is what it is. Like they the reason why we got Nike. So I'm just going ahead and like pretty much give it a go. So I'll do 3 years here. 3 years in Oregon.
The exterior is a tale of two sides. On the north, it's Yale Bowl-esque with the earth embankment and vegetation. But the southern facade is a different kettle of fish. A very imposing and cutting-edge ground entrance. It's a fairly unique design that these crackheads have come up with. An asymmetrical bowl with seating that's considerably steeper than usual, particularly on the southern side, combined with the roof canopy that helps keep sound in, provides for a more intimidating atmosphere. Although they are ducks, how intimidating can they be? Alright. Okay. The University of Oregon is famously the birthplace of Nike. So you'd expect the sporting facilities to be quite good. And they are. But Nike are actually headquartered in Beaverton, which is ironic given that the Ducks' arch rivals are the Oregon State Beavers, who play at Reza Stadium.
Right, will you coach here? Oregon State, the Beavers. I'll give it a chance. I'll do 2 to 3 years. Same thing as Oregon. I'll do 2 to 3 years here as well.
Once again, having two sizable roof canopies in this part of the world is a welcome addition. I know that the Beavers are black and orange, but the seats seem to be more of a charcoal and orange, which might just be my favorite color combination. The colors of the barbecue. Going through all the college stadiums, you hear about various items that have been buried under the field. A former dog mascot and a bulldozer, for instance. But at this stadium, they found something that predates most bulldozers: mammoth bones. I couldn't ascertain whether it was a wild mammoth or whether they used to be called the Oregon State Mammoths and this was their mascot. Either way, that's kinda cool. As mentioned, the Beavers have a rivalry with the Ducks, and the best thing about that is that the trophy they play for is a platypus. I love that.
That's cool.
Not just because it's an Australian animal, but it's basically a cross between a beaver and a duck. Clever. California Memorial Stadium, home of the California Golden Bears.
Right, will you coach California? Now, it's the same thing to me with like UCLA at the Rose Bowl. But see, they built into the mountain, and I'll do one and done. One and done in California.
It's located in a spectacular location at the base of the Berkeley Hills near Strawberry Canyon, with San Francisco Bay not too far away. But it's not just the location that makes this stadium interesting. The all-white, neoclassical facade of the western side looks very elegant, while the eastern side of the stadium is built into the earth. And although it's hard to see, the two sides are actually separate structures. This is due to one peculiar aspect of the stadium's location. There's a freaking fault line running directly under the field. Yeah, they've even marked it out. Presumably so people don't trip on it and cause an earthquake? I don't know how fault lines work. It has something to do with the space-time continuum. That much I do know. Martin Stadium, home of the Washington State Cougars. It's the smallest stadium in the...
Right, will you coach Washington State? Yeah, I do probably three years here in Washington State. Yeah, I'll do 3 years here.
Conference. But that's quite impressive considering the capacity is about the same as the town of Pullman's population. It is such a small place that the PA announcer is actually the mayor of the town. Martin Stadium isn't quite as spectacular as their fellow Washingtonian stadium. There are a lot of stadiums with a very similar design. It's a former horseshoe stadium that used to have a running track around the field, hence the rounded end. But some recent renovations have added a modern touch to it.
Auto insurance all seems the same until it's time to use it. With USAA, it's easy to find.
Los Angeles Memorial Coliseum, home of the USC Trojans.
Now, Southern California, Ray, will you coach here? Let's be real with you. I will coach here because this is a historical stadium. It's an Olympic stadium at that. And then they renovated it too to the Los Angeles Rams and stuff until they got their stadium. They did some upgrades to the stadium. I wish they can do some more upgrades on the other side of the stadium. Will I coach here? I'll do 2 to 3 years. Yeah, 2 to 3 years in Southern California.
If any stadium in this conference can rival the history of the Rose Bowl, it's gotta be this one. It's already hosted the Olympics twice and will do for a third time in 2028, making it the first in the world to do so. On top of that, it's been the home of close to 1 million different teams over the years. But only the Trojans were here from the beginning. The stadium recently underwent a renovation that cost over $250 million. But the overall design has remained more or less the same. It's such an elegant and timeless design. particularly behind the eastern end zone. Mixed with some of the more modern touches that were recently added, makes for a great stadium all round. Sun Devil Stadium, home of the Arizona State Sun Devils.
Right, will you coach here? Sunbelt Stadium. Um, ASU, Arizona State. I would do 4 years. Yeah, 4 years here at Arizona State.
This one is situated in an unusual but beautiful location, between two big buttes. I do like it when they build stadiums in places you wouldn't expect a stadium to be built. I'm still waiting on a stadium in the Grand Canyon. Just like the last one, it also recently underwent a renovation that cost about the same. The stadium itself isn't quite as spectacular as the location, but it still looks pretty good. The design's quite simple: a single-tier seating bowl, an upper deck on either side, and a mini tier of seating in between. And of course, you can always scramble up these buttes and get a pretty good view. Just watch out for the rattlers. Folsom Field, home of the Colorado Buffaloes.
Right, will you coach Colorado? Yes. With prime time? Yes. Prime time and showtime? Absolutely. Yes, I will coach Colorado. Absolutely. And I'm not no bandwagon either and stuff. But I will coach Colorado and stuff. I will take a low paying job to coach Colorado. To be on the coaching staff and stuff. So yeah, other than that, yeah, showtime and prime time. Let's get it.
Located about a mile above sea level is this absolutely stunning stadium.
Because I'll probably be with Colorado for, I'll say 4 years. 4 years. I'll give it 4 years. 4 years. 4 to 5. That's it. 45 years.
With an equally stunning view of the mountains. The brickwork on the exterior is a little different. It's made up from various shades. It gives it a unique look and it matches the buildings of the rest of the campus. The roofs in particular make the campus, including the stadium, look like an Italian city. Very beautiful. Inside the stadium, I guess you could say it's a horseshoe design with a few added features. I particularly like this section in the northeastern corner of the stadium. You don't see something like that too often. It's one of my favorite stadiums, this one. It seems to have a bit of everything. And those were the Pac-12 stadiums.
Okay, so that was Pac-12. Now we're about to get into the Mount Western. Okay? So Mount West Conference. It's showtime.
The most distinctive feature of this stadium, you know. Somebody once said, the West is the best. That could just be because it rhymes, but mountains are good too. See, that's why you don't improvise the intro. Anyway, here are the Mountain West college football stadiums. Albertson Stadium, home of the Boise State Broncos.
Right, would you coach Boise State? Boise State, and Boise, Idaho. On the cool back then, like Boise State was like that's how you call it, how you say it. That type of school that was like an outlaw to the NCAA standards and stuff because they had this blue turf. And I guess they had to pay a hefty fine because NCAA, NCAA, big organization, they didn't want all teams. They want all teams to be the same, pretty much like green turf. You know what I'm saying, and their color scheme. You know what I'm saying. But Well, Boise State, what they did a blue turf, which outlawed them from the rest of the teams in the NCAA. And I know NCAA had a problem with them doing that and stuff. So will I coach Boise State? Um, yeah, I coach Boise State. Yeah, I do 4 or 5 years here because, like I said, the history, like they made history with that field. So and they still got this field to this day. But yeah, I do 4 to 5 years at Boise State.
We'll start off with the exterior of the main stand, which is quite interesting. You see how it just extends outwards? It's probably the most distinctive feature of this stadium, you know. Alright. The stadium is famous for its blue turf field that matches the team's uniform, to the dismay of the away teams that think it's an unfair advantage. But the turf actually has a very dark history. I have mentioned it in the past on this channel, so I won't go into detail. Just know that many Smurfs lost their lives. It's actually quite difficult to talk about. But no, the blue turf was installed for the clout, really. They wanted to stand out.
Mm-hmm.
And they were the first FBS team to have a non-green turf field.
Yeah.
And a few teams have followed since.
Yeah.
So I think it worked out. Other than that, the stadium itself is fairly simple, but there are some oddly placed and oddly shaped stands, but it's certainly unique. Allegiant Stadium, home of the UNLV Rebels.
UNLV, right? Will you coach them? Las Vegas University, or North Las Vegas University. To be honest with you, nah, I won't coach them. The reason why I won't coach them because they don't have their own stadium. They need their own stadium. Pretty much, that's about it.
Well, if you haven't heard of Allegiant Stadium, then you won't know that it's the brand new multi-billion-dollar home of the Las Vegas Raiders. But perhaps, even if you were familiar with the stadium, you might not have known that it will be home to a college team as well. A very lucky college team. They came from Sam Boyd Stadium, which is...
And see, this is their other arena. This is their actual arena. So they moved from this to Allegiant Stadium where the Raiders play. This is what I don't like. I need pretty much teams, like college teams, need to stay away from NFL stadiums, because if you stay away from NFL stadiums, your stadium will be more valuable to go to. You know what I'm saying? It's nostalgia purpose. So yeah, I don't agree with them playing in Allegiant Stadium, just like I don't agree with Tennessee State playing in Nissan Stadium. And I think it's what's it called? University of Tampa. Yeah, University of Tampa. Like I said, I don't agree with them playing at Raymond James Stadium. So it is what it is.
Perfectly fine, but I think we can all agree that Allegiant Stadium is a major upgrade.
Oh, but the University of Miami in Miami, Florida, they're kind of different because even though they do need a whole new stadium for themselves, but they were kind of different because they had the Orange Bowl, and then Miami Dolphins came into play, and they was playing in the same stadium and stuff. And then, you know what I'm saying? So pretty much with University of Miami, they're kind of in a reverse situation than what they're doing. So, and now Orange Bowl's gone, and they in Hard Rock, both of them in Hard Rock Stadium. You know what I'm saying? It used to be 3 teams playing in that stadium, but now it's 2. But University of Miami, on the other hand, they are trying to get a new stadium and trying to move out of Hard Rock Stadium. So anyway, let's get back to the video. Will I coach North Las Vegas? No.
Great. UNLV weren't an afterthought though. They even have their own artificial turf field underneath the Raiders' natural grass field that can slide in and out of the stadium. There's no retractable roof, but it does have retractable windows to let in some fresh air. It's a pretty cool stadium. literally speaking as well, which is pretty important in the desert. It is a bit ironic that the rebels play here, given that it's also known as the Death Star. Aloha Stadium, home of the Hawaii Rainbow Warriors.
Well, I coach Hawaii, University of Hawaii. They were still in this stadium. Yeah, I'll coach here. I'll do 4 to 5 years here. But the thing is, they never upgrade the stadium like they supposed to. Cause this stadium used to host the Pro Bowl a lot growing up, and they didn't upgrade this stadium like they supposed to, and it started deteriorating. And now University of Hawaii decided to move closer to the school, but got a cheaper stadium with a track field. So basically, they playing on their track field now. But at first, they were playing in this stadium, Aloha Stadium. But man, if they were still in this stadium and it was upgraded to the T, to where NFL decided to have an expansion for Hawaii and stuff, it would be awesome. It would be awesome. And Hawaii would not have no University of Hawaii. They wouldn't have no flat because, like Las Vegas and Tennessee State, they won't have no flat. Oh, and Tampa, they will have no flat because they was here first. They was in the stadium first before NFL came into the mix. Okay, so I'm just gonna give y'all a heads up, give you some knowledge. But if they were still in the stadium, 4 to 5 years, and they did the operations like they supposed to fix the stadium, it'll be 4 to 5 years.
This is an interesting one. It's by far the largest stadium in Hawaii, and it actually started out its life as a multi-purpose stadium with movable stands that could accommodate a minor league baseball team, which seems slightly odd to have such a huge stadium for minor league baseball. But perhaps they had ambitions to play in the major leagues. The stands have since been permanently locked into their football configuration. It would seem that the stadium hasn't got long, as a new Aloha Stadium is planned to be built nearby.
And then now Hawaii is trying to build a whole new stadium, and still the same way. I will coach here 4 to 5 years, give or take.
Which will be smaller, but a lot better by the looks of it. But this stadium, although it's rusting, it looks fine, and it's appropriately quite colourful given the team's name. Bulldog Stadium, home of the Fresno State Bulldogs.
Right, will you coach Fresno? I do like that baseball. That's nice. But yeah, that baseball, that's nice. Fresno, I will do 1 to 2 years here in Fresno.
Surface, it's a standard sunken bowl that you see here and there. But for me, this stadium is greater than the sum of its parts. I like all the small details, some of which nobody else would care about in the slightest. But the trees especially that surround the stadium look pretty cool. I'm actually learning to be able to identify trees, and I believe they are a eucalypti pine deciduous mill house that are common in this region. But that space is usually just left as grass on stadiums like this. And I like the floodlights as well. They're like a selfie stick, only less obnoxious. I also like those checkerboard end zones that the volunteers have as well. And well, I guess that was it. But I really like this stadium. CEFCU Stadium, home of the San Jose State Spartans.
Right, will you coach this team, San Jose State? I gotta see another picture rendering because this looks like they're trying to renovate it to get another seating section on the other side for the visitors. So, or it could be a seating section for the home side. So I gotta see a update rendering of this stadium to give me a full grade.
Oh, looks like we caught you at a bad time. As you can see, there are currently some renovations going on that won't be done for a while. I know this isn't the case, but if they turn this section into one huge grass berm, that would be pretty cool. But a lush grass, like the alpine meadows of Bavaria type of grass. Anyway, what they do have planned does seem like it would attract more fans to the game than lush alpine grass. This is what it looked like then, and this is what it will look like in the future. And it will turn the stadium into something that rivals.
So will I coach San Jose? Yeah, I'll coach San Jose. I'll coach them. Yeah, I'll coach San Jose. And they are the ML. Yeah, I'll do at least 3 years with San Jose. 3 years.
Their arch rival stadium, which was the last one, Bulldog Stadium. Dignity Health Sports Park, the temporary home of the San Diego State Aztecs, who are having their own self-titled stadium built as we speak.
Now, San Diego, I've seen this stadium. Will I coach San Diego? Absolutely. I will coach San Diego State. Now, I want to clarify something with y'all. I'll do 5+ years here in San Diego State. Now, I want to clarify something with y'all. San Diego did something stupid. All right. Whoever was the Chargers owner at the time, that was the stupidest mistake you ever did in your life. Come on now. You did the bandwagon. This is why I can't mess with the Chargers and stuff. And it ain't the team and stuff. It ain't the fan base, but it's the ownership I don't like. You got pissed because they said no, but you quit and I kept on fighting for a new stadium in San Diego, right? You decide to move to LA with the Rams, okay? You decide to move to LA with the Rams. You play in a soccer stadium. That's cool and all and stuff. But y'all move in the same stadium, known as SoFi. Y'all play in the same stadium together, okay? In LA. But the Rams won the Super Bowl with the stadium in LA. So pretty much it's the Rams stadium. SoFi is the Rams stadium, and it's built for the Rams because of the shape. But the Chargers, whoever their ownership is, that was so stupid mistake because guess what they did? They tore y'all old stadium down and built a whole new stadium for San Diego State on y'all old stadium grounds. And the stadium is beautiful. I mean, I can't make this stuff up, y'all. I can't. And I feel bad for the Chargers fans and people in San Diego because they really want the Chargers to stay. I mean, let's check this out. Check if the Chargers play here in this new stadium. This stadium is already pretty much done, y'all. It's pretty much playable on now. They play on this stadium actually. Like I say, predict the Chargers playing here. It would look beautiful. On the cool, it would look beautiful. I don't think San Diego State mind the Chargers playing here with them. I don't think they mind that. They got a new soccer team that's gonna come over here and play with them in this venue. So I don't think, like I say, the Chargers, the ownership, that was a dumb decision, and it pretty much it was embarrassing. It was embarrassing because it got on the ESPN, the news, and everything. It was like, why is you trying to move to LA? Because the Rams moving to LA, and why you want to move to LA and stuff? Why? Because you mad because you didn't get a new stadium? Well, come on, we'll move you over here with them, but you ain't gonna like what's gonna happen afterwards. And boom, what happened? This right here, what you see on the screen. So if you're a Chargers fan, I feel bad for y'all. I'm sorry. I wish y'all can move back to San Diego. I really do, because y'all not getting no fan base in LA like y'all supposed to. I'm gonna just keep it real. That's Rams country now. Just like with St. Louis. St. Louis is Cardinal country and Rams country, but the Chargers, bruh, the Chargers. Come on now, that's San Diego's team, bro. So y'all shouldn't be in LA from the get go. Because I'm gonna tell y'all, the decision was supposed. This was the project plan for the NFL at that time. It was supposed to be the Raiders moving to LA, back to LA. The Raiders moving back to LA, or moving to Las Vegas. Okay, get away from Oakland. Okay, then it was supposed to be the Rams try to get a new stadium in St. Louis, an open air stadium in St. Louis, or move back to LA, where they originally from. Okay, that was the master plan, and the future plan was like, I'll say, Buffalo trying to get a new stadium, and then later on you got Tennessee trying to get a new stadium in Nashville and stuff. Hopefully my Buccaneers get a new stadium, but and also Chicago get a new stadium and Kansas City get a new stadium. So that was the master plan, but the Chargers, the ownership of the Chargers, disrupt the whole plan. I'm just glad we still going with the plan, but the Chargers disrupt the plan and bandwag their butts to LA because they don't feel like the Rams should have the stadium by themselves. No. This is what I'm saying. The ownership of the Chargers, this will backfire on you because they built this stadium on top of your old grounds of your old Charger stadium. I mean, I can't make this stuff up. Let's get back into it. 4 to 5 years here at San Diego State.
They were formerly tenants of this stadium, which was the former home of the Chargers, but as you may know, it was demolished. So for now, they're playing in another former home of the Chargers, and the current home of the LA Galaxy. It's not a bad little temporary home. The stadium's made up of the lower seating bowl, with an upper deck on one side and suites on the other, as well as a couple of roof canopies that provide plenty of shelter. University Stadium, home of the New Mexico Lobos.
Right, would you coach New Mexico? The Lobos? It would pretty much be like a one and done.
It's located right next door to the world-famous Albuquerque Isotopes, who get mentioned far too often on this channel. The stadium's exterior is in keeping with the aesthetic that New Mexico is known for. Kind of. It's the same sort of color as an adobe. It's not actually made of earth, but I can't imagine that would be safe. It has an interesting seating situation on the eastern side, where it's attached to the athletic stadium, but another interesting seating situation behind the south end zone where there are a few hundred seats up here. There are presumably some temporary seats placed in this empty section as well. Falcon Stadium, home of the Air Force Falcons.
Shout out to the Air Force. Thank you for your service. You know what I'm saying? My pastor, he's part of the Air Force. But yeah, will I coach the Air Force? Absolutely. I'll probably do 3 years with the Air Force here. You know what I'm saying? As a coach. But shout out to the Air Force. Thank y'all for y'all service. Shout out to the Navy. Thank you for your service. Shout out to the Army. Thank you for your service. Shout out to Marines. Thank you for your service. And shout out to National Guard. Thank you for your service. Shout out to Coast Guard. Thank you for your service.
It is appropriately very high up in the sky, 6,621 feet in fact. It's actually the second highest in FBS football, after only, well, it's the next stadium coming up, coincidentally. It is a major advantage for the team, but it's not unfair. What is unfair is the fact that they can use targeted airstrikes on the opposition team if things aren't going well. This has been condemned by almost all human rights groups, but that's why you wear the helmets. The design of the stadium is quite cool. How they made the most of the hill on the western side and have 3 tiers of seating. I also like how there are basically no other buildings anywhere near the stadium. Yeah, this is probably one of my favorites. And if this is what the Air Force has to offer, I'm very excited to see what a Space Force stadium would look like. Now that would be an unfair advantage. You definitely need a helmet.
If you work in IT, you need a Terra. With remote monitoring and management, remote access, help desk.
War Memorial Stadium, home of the Wyoming Cowboys. Not only is it the highest FBS stadium at 7,220 feet, but I'd wager that it's one of the most remote. I mean,
So, Ray, will you coach Wyoming?
look at that. It's a long, long way from any major city. I guess that's why there's no 3D imaging available. Actually, the town of Laramie has only a few thousand more people.
Well, I coach Wyoming. I'll probably do 1 or 2 years here at Wyoming.
Than the stadium's capacity. So I guess everybody in town must come and visit. I mentioned how I have an interest in trees. And wouldn't you know, behind each end zone are dozens of the famous Wyoming Jubilee pine cedar oaks. Lovely. They're so proud of the fact that they're located so high up that there are signs outside the stadium that say, "Welcome to 7,220 feet," which would indicate that a lot of visitors are coming from out of town, which makes sense. The design itself is just a double-decker stand on each side, fairly simple, but simple is good. Mackay Stadium, home of the Nevada Wolfpack.
Right, would you coach Nevada Wolfpack? Yeah, I'll coach them. I'll do two years. 2 years. Yeah, 2 years at Nevada.
I think you'll find it's Mackay Stadium, home of the Nevada Wolfpack. You dumbass. Just because you're British doesn't mean you can't speak American. Oh, for f***'s sake, I'm not British. There's literally like 3 kangaroos outside my window right now. Well, whatever, New Zealand, I don't care, it's all the same. I can still speak American.
And I'm glad, 'cause I think they finna get rid of this track. But this is how you do, you try to say, look, we ain't doing track no more. We gonna focus on football from now on. And you want to get rid of the track, this is how you're supposed to do it. Keep your seats closer to the end zone, especially, and stuff. Don't worry about your side seats, but keep your seats on the end zone. Keep them close to the end zone so you have that fan love, okay? That's how you get rid of this track, my opinion.
It's located in the biggest little town in America, or something like that. Reno had to come up with some sort of gimmick given that they play second fiddle to Las Vegas. And sadly, Reno was overlooked by the Raiders, so no billion-dollar stadiums here. But that's alright, because the Wolfpack don't share their stadium with nobody. Except for the track team, it looks like. And also, Wolfpacks are known for sharing their prey. That's one of the characteristics of them. Once again, I'm loving the foliage behind the end zones. It looks great, but the stadium itself is very rudimentary. But rudimentary is good. Sometimes. Maverick Stadium, home of the Utah State Aggies.
Right, will you coach here? Utah State? It's probably I want to say probably 2 years. I'll do 2 years here in Utah State. 2 years. Yeah.
I've stated before that it seems every stadium in Utah has a great mountain view, and Maverick Stadium is no exception. It has quite a funky design. The way it's built into the earth looks pretty cool, and not too often do you park your car above the stadium. They also have that slightly asymmetrical section of seating in the south, and a very modern-looking athletics academics complex in the north. The stadium implements 3 different types of seating, if I'm not mistaken, that being chairback seats, benches, and just bare concrete steps. Canvas Stadium, home of the Colorado State Rams.
Right, will you coach Colorado State? Yeah. Yeah, I'll coach here. I'll probably do 4 years here in Colorado State. No problem.
We end with what is the newest on-campus stadium in the conference, and you can certainly tell just by looking at it, with a very modern facade made up of sandstone, metal, and glass, perhaps my favorite combination of building materials. If you exclude gingerbread, of course. It tastes way better than sandstone. The main stand in particular looks fantastic. In fact, it doesn't really look like a stadium from that side, more like some sort of research facility or something. On top of that, that particular style of floodlight always makes a stadium look that little bit better. It's a great stadium to end with. And those were the Mountain West college football stadiums. If you enjoyed the video, please consider subscribing.
So that was the Mountain West. And now we're finna do the Sunbelt. Sunbelt, it's showtime.
The Sunbelt isn't one of the bigger conferences, and thus, the stadiums aren't huge. But there are some interesting ones in this conference, that's for sure. So with that being said, here are the Sunbelt college football stadiums. Starting off with Allen E. Paulson Stadium, home of the Georgia Southern Eagles.
Right, will you coach Georgia Southern Eagles? I'm gonna be real with y'all. Yeah, I'll coach here. I'll do 3 years here. 3 years in Georgia Southern. Yeah, 3 years in Georgia Southern.
Call it the prettiest little stadium in America. A much more inviting nickname than Death Valley that a couple of other teams call their stadium. It definitely has some competition though, not just in America, but this conference as well. But it's quite pretty, there's plenty of greenery, every corner of the stadium has a grass berm. It has that sunken field design where the stands are built into the earth, that a lot of smaller stadiums have. And I like it. Prettiest little stadium in America? Well, it's one of many, let's just say that. Brooks Stadium, home to the Coastal Carolina Chanticleers. I can tell by the logo that a Chanticleer is some sort of chicken, but it does sound like a toddler mispronouncing Santa Claus. There is something odd about this stadium, but I can't quite...
Right, will you coach Coastal Carolina? Yeah, I'll coach Coastal Carolina. Yeah, I'll coach them. I'll do 5 years here. 5 years here in Coastal Carolina.
I put my finger on it. Oh yes, it is of course the field. Look how close it is to the road. Very strange. Other than that, it's quite normal. No, joking aside, teal is a nice color, and hats off to them. I've got no idea how they've got the grass to grow teal instead of green. That's a nice ballpark they've got as well. I see they've grown regular grass over there. Cajun Field, home of the Louisiana Raging Cajuns.
Right, will you coach Louisiana? Raging Cajun? It's probably a one and done for me, a one and done.
Which, if you get rid of the S at the end, definitely sounds like the name of a spicy chicken sandwich. This field is even further sunken into the ground than the first one, and it's actually below sea level. So, as you'd expect, the drainage has to be on point, otherwise its nickname, the Swamp, would become reality. Other than that, it's a fairly straightforward design. As always, I'm a fan of the grassy hill at one end. Also, given that it's Cajun Field, home of the Raging Cajuns, I'd assume that the food scene is pretty darn good. Centennial Bank Stadium, home to the Arkansas State Red Wolves.
Right, will you coach Arkansas State, Jonesboro, Arkansas State, Red Wolves, also known as the Chiefs, I believe. Were they the Chiefs back then? Anyway, they Red Wolves now. But will I coach Arkansas State? Yeah, I would. I actually been to the stadium too, but I would coach Arkansas State. I would probably do 4 years here in Arkansas State. Yeah, I'll do 4 years here.
It's basically just a bigger version of LNE Paulson Stadium, but there are some slight.
I'm gonna say this: we still got a little bit of grass seating to do. You know what I'm saying? So we still got a little bit of update on Arkansas State. I would say this: if we get more seats and stuff, yeah, definitely. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I will probably 4 years. 4 years will be good.
Differences. For starters, it's a little bigger. Double-decker stands on each side. There are some red seats. Oh, and these pictures are a little out of date. This section has been upgraded and had luxury suites and all that sort of stuff added. The exterior is just bare concrete for the most part. And overall, the stadium's not bad, just nothing out of the ordinary. Something that definitely doesn't describe Center Park Stadium, home to the Georgia State Panthers.
Right, would you coach Georgia State Panthers? Now, Georgia State, they I ain't gonna lie, they pretty much did the impossible with the old Atlanta Braves stadium. They did the impossible, and I'm proud of them for that. I wish they could take away some of the seatings in the back. You know what I'm saying? But they did the impossible, and it actually looks pretty good. But hold on, let's continue.
Since its inception in 1996 as the host of the Atlanta Olympics, this stadium has gone through some drastic changes. It was designed.
So if they can take most of this seating out and stuff, like I say, cut it from this corner right here. If they could cut it from this corner right here, then and like bulldoze all the seats over here and just cut it from this corner right here, this stadium would be awesome. This stadium would be awesome. I almost lost my pen, but this stadium would be awesome. But will I coach here? I'll probably do 5+ years. If I can't, really, I'll do 4 years with a 5-year option because I really want to see if they could tear all this down without tearing up what they did. You know what I'm saying? What they accomplished over here. I want to see them they could tear all this down and stuff without destroying this part right here.
Trying to convert from the Olympic configuration into a baseball stadium, Turner Field. The Braves eventually moved out into the suburbs for some questionable reasons, and then Georgia State moved in and transformed it into this Frankenstein's monster of a stadium. Having said that, I kinda like it. But there is a difference between looking at a stadium and visiting a stadium every other week. I should also mention that there's a decent view of the Atlanta skyline. Hancock Whitney Stadium, home to the South Alabama Jaguars.
Ray, will you coach South Alabama? Yeah, I would. I would. I would coach South Alabama. I do like the stadium. It is nice. It's modern. It's small, but it's updated. It's really nice. They did a good job with this stadium. I do 4 to 5 years here, or 5 years plus. Yeah,
A brand new stadium.
like I will build this stadium for my state and my city to replace War Memorial Stadium. That's what I'll do because this stadium is nice.
In fact, it was the only on-campus FBS stadium to open in 2020. It is fairly unique in college football given that one end is made up of a terrace, with standing room only. This is done so it can be turned into a stage for concerts. By all accounts, it's a great little stadium to watch football, although very few people have actually had the chance to visit. Bobcat Stadium, home to the Texas State Bobcats.
Right, will you coach here, Texas State? Yeah, I'll coach Texas State. I'll probably do 3 years. 3 years in Texas State.
This one is vaguely similar to Hancock Whitney Stadium, but with the end cut off. You may have noticed that the end is round. Well, that's because the field had an athletics track around it, which was only removed recently, in 2012, which was the same time the North End Zone seating was expanded. It also has a more grandiose exterior than South Alabama Stadium, especially the main facade, which looks quite nice. Although there's nothing mind-blowing about this place, it just seems like a nice, well-rounded stadium. Malone Stadium, home of the Louisiana Monroe Warhawks. This one is...
Right, will you coach Louisiana Monroe? Yeah. I'll probably do 2 to 3 years. 2 to 3 years in Louisiana Monroe. What's going on? Let's see what's going on with my bed. Hold on, y'all. Okay. Make sure that money good. Yeah, money's good. Okay. Yeah, I do 1 or 2 years at Monroe.
is quite unusual. As you can see, there is only seating on two sides of the field, which in itself isn't too far out of the ordinary. But I'm not sure I've ever seen taller seating on a two-sided stadium before. It just keeps going up, but I like it. I'd probably prefer to sit all the way up there than at ground level behind the end zone, so it makes sense. As a player, it must be quite strange. You look ahead and there's just a few trees. You look to the side and there's like 70 rows of seating. Other than that, there isn't too much to say. The exterior on each side is very bare bones.
Full Sail University is where the next generation of creators are learning to build the future.
Kid Brewer Stadium. Hang on. I did hear that things were a little wild in the Appalachian Mountains, but they've...
Right, will you coach Appalachian State? Yeah, I'll coach Appalachian. App State, I'll coach them. I'll probably do 3 to 4 years in App State. 3 to 4 years.
got kids brewing the moonshine? Jeez Louise. Anyway, it's home to the Appalachian State Mountaineers. The running track was gotten rid of just last year after a major renovation that included some additional seats added to the north end zone. The stadium is nestled into the mountains, surrounded by trees, and has a lovely view of Howard's Knob. No, the peak over there is called Howard's Knob. Whoever the editor is just so immature. Me. It does look better now, but it's not like that was an issue to begin with. For those that have a thing for repeating numbers, the field is 3,333 feet above sea level. a little over 1 kilometer in metric. This place is so serene. Veterans Memorial Stadium, home of the Troy Trojans.
Ray, will you coach Troy? I'll probably do 2 to 3 years at Troy. 2 to 3 years.
A very appropriate nickname. On the surface, it looks like just another typical stadium that's common in this conference. But when you take a look at the stadium after the recent expansion, well, it just sets it apart from the rest. Not only the grand brick facade, but also the elevated seating on the inside. Something else that sets it apart is how the road is basically on the concourse, which provides a pretty decent view of the game to passing motorists. I mean, just look at that. Also, that fence looks extremely hoppable. I guess they must have security guarding it on match day because it seems like it'd be quite easy to sneak in. And those were the Sunbelt College.
Okay. So that was pretty much the Pac-12, the Mountain Western, and the Sunbelt Conference. So please like, comment, and subscribe to the channel, Days Reacts. Link in description is down below. And I'll catch y'all later for the next video. Peace.